Hello everybody, Dick Coughlin here. I had to respond to this video because this video I'm responding to, I'll leave a link to it below. It's been made by a user called Ketch, and it is a prime example of why a couple of weeks ago, or why last month, I made my video ranting and raving and distancing myself from these militant anti-theistic sort of like ideologues who pollute the dialogue in this conversation. And I encountered him first a couple of days ago on a video made by the Skeptical Heretic, and he posted a comment in which he claims that theism is a form of psychosis. Now, I've actually known people who suffer from psychosis. In fact, I used to sort of have a sort of girlfriend who was schizophrenic and had psychosis. And believe me, it's nothing to fucking frivolously throw around. It's not something you should be just labelling people with. And it's nothing like religion. And in fact, funnily enough, she was actually an atheist too. And I asked him for his source on this, or could he please present me with his qualifications in order to make such a claim. And his source for this was the dictionary. Yes, the dictionary was his source to claim that everyone who is a theist suffers from psychosis. But then he went a bit further and he's made a video called Religion is a Mental Disorder. Now, the first mistake he makes here is he clearly thinks that theism and religion are one and the same. They're not. There are theistic religions and there are atheistic religions. But he's saying religion, which is not even a state of mind, right? Which is not even anything to do with, the state of a person, what a person necessarily believes, is a mental disorder. In the description box of this video, he links as a source Christopher Hitchens. Now, Christopher Hitchens was a fucking journalist, and to be fair to Hitchens, I don't think he's actually making the point that Jack thinks he's making. But I do always find it funny when I see these atheists on YouTube who are so rabid when it comes to a theist who uses science in some way. Like William Lane Craig will butcher cosmology, or Ray Comfort will butcher biology in order to try and prove their claim. But they see no problem. They don't see they have no ethical quandaries when it comes to using psychology or psychiatry in order to just throw around and diagnose people. That form of science, it's okay. You don't need to have a qualification or to be trained in it, and you don't even need to provide links to it. Isn't that interesting that none of them do this, right? None of them making this claim actually have any of this, right? They can occasionally link to one or two people, but David Irving was a very respected historian and he denied the Holocaust. Right, so we can look at the various things there, but he links Hitchens so he's made so first of all he's made an argument from the dictionary, and then he's made an argument from false authority. But then he goes on to do even something better, and he cites as an example of religious mental instability the Jim Jones suicide cult, the People's Temple. Now, this is interesting for two reasons. Number one, the People's Temple. First of all, the People's Temple is not indicative of what all religious people are like, right? It's a very small number of people. I think it was like 900 people, right? The Jim Jones suicide cult, the People's Temple, was not based on theism. It was based on communism. More to the point, Jim Jones was a fucking atheist. And in order to be part of the People's Temple, you had to be an atheist too. Right? People assumed that it was some sort of a Christian cult, but it wasn't. Jim Jones himself admitted that he was basically trying to bring people round to atheism by using this cult. So you've used an atheist who had created a suicide cult based on communism to prove that religion and theism is a mental disorder. Well done for doing a little bit of fucking research there. But then he goes a little bit further, and this was the best bit. I was going to leave it there, right? But in the comment section of his video, he's just posted this. If anybody has any scientific evidence that proves the title of this video wrong, I'd like to read it. I'm serious. 3 words for you, Jack. Burden of proof. It lies on the person making the claim. And I find it hilarious that you sit there and demand scientific evidence from people who are disagreeing with you whilst providing none yourself. Right? You're making the claim, motherfucker. You provide the evidence. So let's have a look here. You claim theism and theists are suffering from a form of psychosis and it's a mental disorder. You have no fucking evidence to back up this claim. You provide nothing. You make arguments from false authority and arguments from the dictionary. You use an example which doesn't actually argue your case and in fact would be used as evidence to prove the opposite. And then you sit there and demand that the people who disagree with you or the people who reject your claim need to provide evidence to disprove it. Who's the one acting like a theist here? Good night, you bunch of cunts.